Relationship advice update. I 28 male with Beyoncé, 27 female. About a month ago overheard her tell a friend her previous ex was the best lover she ever had. Original post. It was quite by accident that I heard this. We had a group of our friends over, and as the night went on, we all kind of busted out into little groups. Some of us were in one room playing Texas Hold'em and a couple of others were watching a Lord of the Ring marathon. I thought she was watching the movies, but she and one of her close friends were actually sitting in the kitchen drinking coffee and talking. Our group had run out of soda, so I got up to go to the kitchen to get drinks and a couple of snacks. As I'm rounding the corner, I hear my fiancée talking, and before I completely come in the room, I hear her clearly say Jason is great but he will never be the lover that Bill was. She then followed it up with, "It's not really fair to Jason though. Bill was just really gifted down there." At first I thought about just walking back into the card game and pretending like we didn't have any extra soda or food, but I decided to kind of make a noise and go in. Her friend caught eye of me rounding the corner and I could see her make a face to my fiancé letting her know I was there. Of course, she has no idea. I heard her and she just stops talking to her and asks me how I'm doing it. If I'm having fun. I was tempted to say something like I'm having as much fun as someone who is not gifted down there can, but I didn't. I just said yes and proceeded to get my stuff and go back and finish the night. I just acted like nothing was wrong the rest of the night and went to bed. Needless to say, it messed me up. I mean, messed me up bad. I've never been jealous or what you would call insecure about myself until that moment. I couldn't sleep that night, and I went through a myriad of emotions while laying there. At first I was angry. Then I was humiliated, then I was depressed, then I was angry again. Look, I realize that the male ego seems stupid to women and even guys who are totally self-assured. I would have agreed with most of this prior to that night. But once it has been damaged, it is horrible. I tried to hide any form of emotion about it or ever let her know. But as the days went on, I just kept getting worse and worse. I was avoiding her at all costs. And while she was suspicious, she didn't really say anything, that is until she attempted to be intimate with me a few days later and I flat out rejected her. It wasn't by a conscious decision on my part, by the way. I had made the decision on my own to just try and get over it and move on. But in the moment, instead of being actually aroused, I felt deeply inadequate and ashamed. Nothing was happening. No matter how much either of us tried. She asked me what was wrong. And I just told her I must have been stressed from work, but she would not believe that or let it go, so much to my humiliation. There, I laid naked in bed, unable to get an arousal. I came clean and told her what I heard. Well, this did not go over well at all. At first, she tried to tell me I did not hear her correctly, but I just repeated to her verbatim what she had told her friend. Well, once she couldn't deny it, she then tried to apologize, and to her credit, she tried to listen to my feelings on the matter, which once again, I am sure was more of a big turnoff for her because I was a wreck emotionally. She tried to tell me how much of a better person I was and how I satisfied her, and she wanted nobody else. But all I could hear was Charlie Brown's teacher noise. It's been almost a month and I have zero desire to be with her intimately. None. She is now getting frustrated about this as well. But no matter what I have tried, I just cannot get past this. It's not like she said, we were both good lovers or anything like that. She clearly said he was far superior. And my guess is that being gifted down there means he was significantly larger than me as well. Well, I know I can do all kinds of things with my hands, tongue and whatever else. But no matter what I do, I can't grow in size. Obviously, she refuses to talk about that with me, saying that no matter what she says, it will only make things worse, because even if she says something positive about me, I won't believe her. She's most likely right. Some backstory here. He dumped her. It was not a mutual breakup. He flat out dumped her and broke her heart. I know this because early on in our relationship she told me this. She said she wasn't ready to be serious about anybody because her previous ex left her and emotionally broke. So this is not a case of me even being able to say, well, she's with me because she wants to be. If he hadn't dumped her, she would never have left him. Now, I have no idea if after all of these years she would leave me for him if he would come back. But I don't think she would. I just don't know what to do here. I can feel myself checking out of a relationship. I know this is petty as hell. But hearing the person you love tell someone else they prefer to have intercourse with someone else is just devastating to me. Her telling me all of my other good qualities has only made it worse because she is saying things that I think appeal to her and maybe other women. But being told I am a good provider and will make a great husband makes me feel like crap. Like what would happen if I lost my good-paying job, or better yet? What if I were to get injured and couldn't make anything more than state assistance? Would she be there to support and help me? Basically what I feel like right now is a really good friend who she's just allowed to have intimacy with. I know in my head that this is not correct, but in my heart, that is what I feel. I'm sorry for the length here, and I don't even know what I am asking here. I am totally lost. And if this continues, I just think I am going to break our engagement now. For the top advice. Before reading the first update, as a man married once to the same woman for 20 years, which her girlfriend said is disrespectful as hell. Our marriage survives on only a handful of steadfast rules. One big one is to the outside world, be each other's biggest defender. That is, if you have criticisms of significant other, save them for private times and share them only with each other or the occasional very close friend, family member, and they need to be constructive all other time. Defend your significant other's honor, pride and well-being to everyone, right or wrong. Your girlfriend straight up broke that rule, big time. Not only did she not defend you, she was the one putting you on the chopping block. Then she tried to play it off and keep it secret from you like a goddamn gossiping teenager. Crap talking about you behind your back. Triple whammy, now you are stuck unable to unhear what she said. Will you ever be able to trust her again? I doubt it. In the end, my advice is ask yourself if there is anything she could humanly say and / or do to repair the violation of trust. If the answer is no, or even probably not, move on. Edit after the fact. I realize this is a fiancé. Move on is not a simple option to that. I say, tell her how that comment made you feel. Hopefully she'll recognize the gravity of her comment and see how demoralizing it was, and try to make amends if possible. These are some true life hacks to stay together. Thank you for your comment. Would love to hear what you decide to do at the end of the day. Every predictor of divorce is here: criticism, defensiveness, stonewalling and contempt. I feel like Opie's resentment would just fester. Maybe they address it, treat it, bury it, but ultimately down the line, eventually it will rear its head again in an argument, completely unrelated to anything, like 8 years in their marriage. They have 2 kids and she would say, "Honey, can you turn off that game and take out the trash?" And he would yell back, "Yeah, and why don't you go screw Bill again?" I have to agree with other comments. That kind of stuff is disrespectful as hell, especially talking about it to other people. If she thought it, then she thought it. But making the effort to bring it into conversation with other people is a whole new thing. Flip it on its head for a second. What would she have done if you were having a conversation with a friend and said, "Well, she's all right, but she will never be the same as Jessica because her kitty was proper tight"? What would her reaction be? 'Cause I'd stake my life on it that she wouldn't have stuck with you. I know it's easier said than done, but you definitely need to leave this situation. Once your trust is gone, it's gone. And the fact it wasn't the first time they spoke about it, her friend knew Opie wasn't bigger than her ex. And now for the first update. It all came to a head last night. She just came out and asked me if I did not love her anymore, and all that I could tell her was that a very large part of me still did. But that what she said had really made it so that another part of me just didn't anymore. This started a larger conversation that I won't bore you with. But ultimately, it came down to me saying that I would have accepted that he was just better at something, or more attentive to something, or was able to do something that I would have felt like I could have worked on it. I would have listened to anything she wanted, worked on any technique or anything else that she would have shared with me. But to know that I was never going to measure up simply because of a physical issue was not something I thought I could get over anytime soon, or if I ever could for that matter. I was even honest and said that if it was just a one-night stand she had, or some random guy who was just huge, I might be able to get past that. But knowing that it was a guy who she was still madly in love with when I met her, and only after time did she ever start to come around that it was just more than I could handle. She kept trying to tell me how much better I was at everything else and that I should not throw away a lifetime over one aspect. I told her that that one aspect, sadly, was just too high for me. Not all things are equal, and that honestly, it is a mental failing on my part that it is. But whether it is genetics or a learned trait or whatever, that yes, I needed to be my spouse's best, and she has already made it clear that I can never be. I tried my best to be gentle. I tried to take all of the blame of stating that I knew that my attitude was probably not healthy. But it was who I am. By the way, I'm typing this as though this were a clean conversation. It wasn't, There was lots of crying by both of us. This is not a happy ending or even a satisfying one. I am beyond messed up in the head over the entire situation. Everybody's Christmas is ruined. We had big family gatherings that we both were attending together, and now we have to somehow break it to our families. What has happened? This loan is causing me massive stress because my parents loved her. And what in the hell am I going to say is the reason why we are not together? She didn't cheat. And if I say that I felt like she was still hung up on her ex, she will obviously deny it and she will tell them the truth. It's messed up no matter how this goes down in the end. I feel like a massive failure. I feel like a failure as a man because of not living up to comparison. And I feel like a failure because I wasn't able to just man up and either get over it. She has begged me to go to couples counseling. And initially I said no, because at the end of the day, what does it change? We can talk about every single thing and I can try and look at things from a different perspective, and at the end of the day, the woman who I wanted to marry just told one of our friends that no matter what I do, I will never be as good as her ex. I just cannot see 5 years from now ever being okay with this. But because she legitimately seems heartbroken, I agreed to go. But that does not mean I will keep going today. I moved out a lot of my stuff and I'm staying with a coworker for a few days until I can get a place for myself. She has been with her sister all day. I feel horrible. Thank you to everyone who took the time to type out a response. I honestly have tried to read everything. Even if I didn't reply to very many. The saddest part of all of this is that I still love her. There is so much of me right now that wants to pick up the phone and call her and beg her to come back at it. I guess I do want to share one thing I spoke with her about when we were having our very long conversation. I presented her with a scenario for her to compare. I know her well enough to know that comparing body parts or bedroom prowess isn't going to impact her the same way it would be, so I put the scenario to her like this. I said, what if you walked in and overheard me talking with my friend Tim? And you heard this, Jill is great, but she will never understand me and comfort me the way Tiffany did. But it's not Jill's fault. Tiffany is just the smartest, most compassionate person I've ever known. And Jill just isn't as smart. Then if she would confront me about saying those things about her, that my response to her would have been I love you for all of your other qualities. Nobody makes a sandwich like you do. And I think long term you won't gauge me for my money. At first she tried to say that this was a totally different issue, but once we talked more about it, she finally agreed it is because of the way we both approach and value intimacy. She ultimately admitted that this would really hurt her feelings, but she would not break up with me over it. I then responded that even in my make-believe scenario, which by the way, I would never say to anyone out loud about anyone I loved, she could improve her level of education and learn to be more compassionate too. If anyone even reads this, I want to add one last thing. People have been telling me what a whiny sissy I am. That's one of the more kind things they've said because I can't get over someone else in the world having a bigger member than me. Not going to lie and say I'm thrilled with it, but I'm not dumb enough to think I have a giant magic wand or anything. I had grown up believing what I now know to be a lie, that women don't care about size. Some don't, but obviously some do. And my ex is one of those that obviously did. But even with that, ultimately, I might have been able to get over it if it was just said as a matter of fact. But hearing that no matter what I did, how much I loved her or any other thing, that I was never going to be as good as what has bothered me since. Yes, size is obviously a big part of it. But if I hadn't heard that I would never be the lover, I think I might have been okay. Well, not okay, but at least not relationship ending. Yes, I overvalue X, I get that. Yes, it is very important to me. And, well, frankly I want to be wanted as much as I want to want someone, if that makes any sense. Yes, I know whoever I date in the future will most likely have had someone who was either bigger, better or whatever, but I would really hope that they would not be still hung up on it a few years later. Now for some top advice before the final update. My man, you are not a massive failure. You are a normal human being with feelings just like everybody else. While I don't disagree with your decision at all, I do think you should get counseling for you. It won't hurt and could do a world of good for you moving forward and getting past this. There is someone out there for you who will appreciate you for everything you have to offer. I've been in a similar situation and let me tell you, move on. If she really had any respect for you, she wouldn't have told her friend that leave her and just be your man. Trust me, there is someone out there who's going to love the hell out of you. No one deserves to be treated like that. It's not a man thing to be better in bed. It's about respecting your partner if she really had any deep feelings for you. She wouldn't even think about that stuff from her ex, as there is nothing purer and more beautiful than making love to the person you love. You can't compare that to anything. Keep your head up and focus on work, family, gym, whatever dude, and believe me, someone will come, and when it happens, you won't even remember this girl, bro. The best line from the original post was made by someone that she was careless with your feelings and careless with your heart. Your size isn't the issue, your performance isn't the issue, it's her, period. Someone who is supposed to love you shared something recklessly that caused you extreme stress and heartache, and for what she single-handedly destroyed her own relationship because she couldn't keep her private thoughts to herself. This guy freaking wins. OP. I really hope you read this one. Heart goes out to you, brother. I'm a woman, so I don't face the massive cultural thing we have around member size, but I would absolutely not be able to get over it if I overheard my fiancé compare me unfavorably to his ex to a mutual friend. Why was she even saying those things out loud? Do what you need to do. But she's done something painfully stupid and unkind that is not spouse behavior. She is not ready to be a wife. I think you should tell your parents that you overheard her disparaging you to a mutual friend, and you don't want to marry someone who talks about you that way and then decline to take questions, but do it before any big get-togethers. Now for the final update. I wasn't going to post more, but I am still getting daily direct messages wanting to know how things are going. I do appreciate the kind words and concerns, but just so anyone who cares can know, it is over. I went to counseling with her on 3 different occasions, and honestly, I tried to have an open mind about it. But at the end of the day, the obstacle was just too much to overcome. I even gave her an opportunity to walk back her statement or amend it, or well, do whatever she wanted to with it. But instead she doubled down in a way. I think by the time she was very frustrated as well. Neither of us are really happy about this. It has been an absolute nightmare for me trying to avoid telling people/family why we're no longer together. Of course, I tried the old, it's none of your business to some of them, but that failed spectacularly. And since I refused to tell, they decided she cheated on me and started spreading that around. I've had to do a lot of damage control over that. I've decided to continue with therapy on a personal level because honestly, this entire thing has really messed with my head and I have no self-esteem left at all. I've only seen her once since we separated, and it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. She is now justifiably so in the angry stage. She is furious with me and has called me everything that you can imagine, and then even made up some words now for the closing comments. Best of luck moving forward. Her reaction to the situation is a big red flag that you guys had systemic problems that are much deeper than her having an ex that she enjoyed having intercourse with. It's good that you realized that, took steps to work through it, then moved on. When that became clear in time, it will sting less, but this will be a lot better for you down the long run. Best of luck. Hope he's going to find out. It was the best decision he ever made. Honestly, if I had asked, am I the best, biggest / was he better? And she told me truthfully that her ex was better. That'd be one thing, because my response would be to work together to try and make our intimacy better, whether it be with position / toys / fantasy, etc. The only reason I think you have the right and reason to take the action you did is because she was telling her friends that about you guys like that. That's humiliating and cold to talk about. Essentially telling her friends my fiancé is adequate but doesn't compare here instantly. Makes you feel worthless to her, basically. Like comparing animals. Guys don't mention to their guy friends how tight their girls' snatches are because we don't view them like animals. Ironically, I hear girls talk just like that about dudes' members all the time. I'm a chick and I don't talk about my guy that way. It's disrespectful to share such intimate information. I think the biggest kicker besides her awful statement is how she dealt with the whole thing. It seems like she went from anger to gaslighting to apologetic and then frustrated. If this is how she deals with an issue sensitive to her partner, how will she deal with other problems that come up in a marriage? This was a good test of her character and she failed miserably. She would not make a good long-term partner and she proved it as hard as it is. You should feel lucky you were able to see who she really is and end it before you got married and discovered her callous nature. Later on, I even gave her an opportunity to walk back her statement or amend it, or well, do whatever she wanted to with it. But instead she doubled down in a way. She is furious with me and has called me everything that you can imagine. And then even made up some words. Bullet dodged if you ask me. Better to break up now. before marriage and 3 kids. And that's it for this video, guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you like this content, I'll catch you in the next one. Good day, everyone.